I think that's it. I'm not sure if it's it. I always like to wait a few minutes. Uh, there we are, and we are live. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Excuse me. If I seem a little low down, if I seem a little slumped, if I seem a little humpbacked, it's because I'm sitting very awkwardly in a very awkward position in a very awkward place. But nevertheless, we are here. So the first thing I'd like to do is say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who is as always to my right side. And then I would also like to say good morning to Chris. Chris, are you back in Vermont?
I am back in Vermont. Good morning, Rosemary and everyone.
Good morning. Good morning. So you're going to have to tell us about your escapades, Chris, because I know you've been sort of milking the, what is it? Milking the goats or milking the cows?
No
or
milking involved. None.
milking
Zero.
the donkeys or whatever that is you've been doing?
Yeah. Definitely feeding and mucking out stalls of miniature donkeys and horses and collecting eggs and spreading feed at the chickens. Oh yeah, it was fun.
Oh, sounds like it was great fun. Sounds like it was real fun to me. And what have I been doing? Oh, well, we're not even going to go into that space. But there are a number of you who know I've not been 100%. So I would like to thank all of you who have sent me healing and well wishes and all of that. So I'm still not 100%, but I'm getting there. So I'm in New York City with my darling daughter, Samantha, and my darling 8-year-old grandson, Reese. So here we are in New York City in a very, as I've just said, a very precarious place. Uh, and and nothing's going to hold us back this morning, right, Chris? Nothing's going to hold us back. We're ready for your questions, everybody. We're ready for your comments, for your curiosities. We can be ready for all sorts of things. What we will not be doing, what I will not be doing this morning is I know that so many of you would love to have a message from your loved ones. I know so many of you want to know how your loved ones in the spirit world are. But this morning, because we are in this odd place, we shan't be doing too much of that. But you know, the spirit world sees all, as we call this show, and the spirit world is with us, amongst us, all of us. Even as you all are looking, your loved ones in the spirit world are right beside you, or behind you, or maybe sitting in front of you. You never know. And we know that they are there, and we know that they are there with us. This being what is it actually? This being a subject that has so many different facets to it. And it's interesting because I was sitting in the dentist chair the other day, and my daughter knows this dentist very well, and she was telling him, you know, my mum is a psychic. And I hate it when people call me a psychic. The fact that I am psychic is neither here nor there. But when I refer to myself, I always refer to myself as a spiritual medium and a healer. Some of you may not know what the difference is, and a lot of people get it muddled up and confused. And maybe some of you will have comments or questions on that score today. But when he came into me, he came and sat down in front of me, and he said to me, "Your daughter tells me a psychic." And he held up his hand. He said, "I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know anything." And I said to him, "Well, actually, I'm a spiritual medium and a healer, and I talk to people who many suppose are dead, but I don't believe are dead." And he looked at me, and he had the complete opposite reaction that most people would think that he would have. He looked at me and he said, "Oh my goodness, I feel so much better." That makes me feel so much better. I feel so much more relieved. And what a wonderful thing it is that you do. You know, a lot of people get it muddled up. What is a medium? What is a psychic? You know, there's so many different names that people call it. You know, years and years ago, it used to be the fortune teller, the palm reader, the card reader, the fortune teller, the crystal ball gazer. You knew where you stood, didn't you? Because all of those things were, they were descriptive of what somebody was going to do. I read palms, or I read the crystal ball, or whatever it is that people did. And then there were people who, well, I'm a healer. Well, everybody knew then what a healer was. But now, I mean, we've got, what is it? How many different things have we got? We've got clairvoyance, we've got soothsayers, we've got, oh yes, and the one that I only came across when I came to America, we've got channelers. We've got so many different names for people, and it's quite understandable why the regular, the ordinary, the layman would get very confused about what they all mean. What do they all mean? Are they all the same? And they are not all the same. They are all very, very different. All of them have their place, but they are all very, very different in what they do. So I'll say again, I'm a spiritual medium and a healer, and which means that I actually do talk to dead people who also talk to me. I see them, I hear them, I connect with them in pretty much any way you could imagine. And the one thing that I do have to say to anybody out there listening and wanting clarification of the difference between, I don't know, somebody else and me, let's just say somebody else and me, whatever they call themselves, whatever they do, I will not say to anyone who comes to see me, oh, yes, I can feel this, or, oh, I'm sensing this and this. I don't do that. I'm either going to see someone in the spirit world, see them or hear them clearly, and have a conversation with them, or I'm not. So, so I'm a very, very direct in that way, feet on the ground kind of a person. And if I can't do it that way, I'd rather not do it at all. Chris, how are we doing? I know there are a few people here. I know there are a few people coming in here. Do we have any questions and comments?
Well, I think some of the people joined you a little bit after you started speaking, Rosemary. So there's still questions in the chat room about,
Okay.
my brother, my husband, my this person. And I know you're saying today you're hoping people won't ask those questions and will ask you general questions about the spirit world.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be very upfront and very honest with everybody about this. I am not 100% still, and rather than tax myself, and rather than to sort of use up more energy than I have today, I would rather we sort of let those questions go for today. So I know that every one of you wants a message from the spirit world. I'm fully aware of that. I know that. But if I can't do it right and 100%, I'd rather not do it at all. But what I can do is, I mean, I'm still a sane and solid thinking person. I can think, I have lots of knowledge, I have lots of information that you might want to learn about or to know about. And so we can do all of those things. This world, this spiritual world that we're involved in, has so many, many, many different facets to it. And so, don't be shy or don't be afraid to ask those kinds of questions. Chris.
So Carolyn's saying, good morning.
Morning.
I had my 1-year-old Cavalier put on your healing list. She had elevated blood counts. She is now perfectly healthy. Nothing wrong at follow-up. The bilirubin is fine. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for letting us know that. And of course, I love spaniels of pretty much any description. I just think spaniels are, I don't know, they have so much character. They're so full of character. And we've had spaniels, my daughter and we've had spaniels now for many, many, many years. And I love a lot of dogs. I love lots of different breeds, but spaniels, they just have their own. They have such characters. They have such defined and quirky and fabulous and wonderful characters. So I'm so pleased. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm so pleased that your puppy is doing well, and please keep us updated from time to time on that one. Chris.
Tamiko was wondering about careers and says, I'm at a loss of what I should do to make myself happy.
Smiling every day works. waking up with a good and a positive attitude works. I'm fully aware. I know that some of you are saying, well, it's easy for you. You know, there you are, you're sitting in New York and you've got all your makeup on and your hair's looking nice and you've got all your pretty jewelry on and all the rest of it. It's easy for you. No, it isn't easy for me. It's not easy for any of us when we are down, when we are feeling low, when we are feeling sad. But those are the times, trust me when I say this to you, those are the times when you have to make the most effort. And many of you have heard me say in the past, you know, I would drive to work or I would get in the car to drive somewhere or another. And, you know, often I would be driving to the healing center and really not wanting to go, really feeling desperate, feeling alone, feeling, you know, nobody loves me, nobody cares about whatever it is you feel when you're in those very, very despairing and lonely moments. Struggling to pay bills, struggling to feed my daughter, which was the most important thing. And I would very often, you know, sort of drive and I'd be crying when I was driving. And then I'd sort of blow my nose, you know, set myself together and put a smile on my face and change my attitude, because I knew that my going into a healing center, there's no point me going into a healing center with a lousy energy. Why would I do that? Why would I put my rotten negative energy onto other people? So, as hard as it may be for you, I'm going to suggest you, when you wake up in the morning, you say, okay, I'm going to make today the best day that I can make it. And you go out there with a smile on your face. I remember also, so many years ago, I worked in a pub with a very lecherous landlord, unbelievably lecherous. He would, well, never mind what he did, but it was a horrible, horrible place to work, I have to say. And I remember going there and I had no choice because I needed to feed my daughter and I needed to pay my bills. So I stuck it out and I stuck it out and I dodged this man for a good year and a half, probably. So, you know, I would put a smile on my face and it would be very convincing to people. And then I would come home and I remember oftentimes I would sort of walk in the door, I'd sit on the stairs. The times I cried because I couldn't take the smile off of my face because it was so fake and so put on there. And so when I say fake, I don't mean that I was faking being nice to people. I was trying to be nice to people and I was forcing myself to be as positive as I could be. But sometimes that takes hard work and your face freezes in that smile. And the times that I sat on the stairs trying to get the smile off of my face and not succeeding, but nevertheless, the next day I would go out, I would do the same thing again and again. One day, after a long time of this, what seemed like forever of this, one day I remember driving along. It was a sunny day. I was driving along and I got the radio on and I was singing away to some song on the radio, and all of a sudden it hit me. I was actually smiling, and I mean really smiling. Not for anybody else, just because I felt good. I felt positive. I felt better. Life hadn't altered. I was still having to go to work. I was still struggling to pay the bills. I was still struggling to feed my daughter. But suddenly things shifted because I had shifted. I had forced myself into making sure that my attitude was positive every day. And sooner or later, you can't help it. It just rubs off on you. So anybody out there feeling low, feeling lonely, feeling lost, feeling, what am I going to do? The first thing you learn to do, no matter how hard it is for you, try and put a smile on your face, would you? Because honestly, it really does work. Chris.
Josephine saying, hi, Rosemary. Good morning, and it's good to see you. I have a question for you. Have you ever given anyone a message from Jesus? If so, what was it like?
Josephine, oh my goodness, I have. You know, when I was growing up, my real home, the place that I was the most comforted, the most loved, the most cared for, was my church, little Baptist church. up on the top of between on Saffron Lane. If anybody out there in England knows where that is, you'll know. Unfortunately, the church, the last time I went to it, it was all boarded up and a bit derelict. But I used to go there every Sunday. My mother used to send us when we were tiny. I had more Christmases there. I was a Sunday school teacher there. I knew Christ as my Saviour. That doesn't mean I'm expecting everybody else to think that Christ is their Saviour, because, other people have different beliefs and different belief systems, and they are entitled to them. But I knew Christ. I got to know Christ very well, and I would talk to him every single day of my life, several times a day, often. And of course, in my teenage years, I would sort of mope about and walk about, and I would, go out for long walks, often even in the cold of the winter, just to avoid being at home, being inside my home. I would just go out and I would talk to Christ. It was just the most perfectly natural thing for me to do. And so when, oh gosh, years and years later, when I had my friend Mick Maguire in my house, and he was giving healing to a young child, and I was sitting on the sofa, sort of also sending out my energy and giving healing. And Mick Maguire was sort of standing in the far side of the room, and something caught the side of my eye, and I had a rocking chair by the side in the living room, and something caught my eye, and I turned to my left, and standing right next to the rocking chair was Jesus Christ. I looked and I looked and what? What? Now I knew him, and I had seen him, and I always had a rapport with him. And when I was healing, I always felt that his hands were always atop mine. When I put my hands on a patient, I always felt Christ's hands over mine. And I always felt Grey Eagle's hands on my shoulders. So, it was like having that little double whammy. But when I saw him standing there and, obviously helping with this child who needed healing, it was so stunning and so startling. I sort of, blinked my eyes, squeezed my eyes, thinking, did I see that? And when I looked again, he was gone. But he was there for the moment. I cannot express the wonder and the magic of it for me. Yes, I have given messages a few times from Jesus Christ to other people, and each time it's an amazing thing. I've also weirdly spoken to the Virgin Mary, and I'm not even a Catholic, but there we have it. It's an odd thing, but a beautiful and a remarkable thing. Chris.
Adrian saying, "Hi, Rosemary.
Hi.
The past year, I have been seeing the same numbers over and over. I also got some angel cards, but I'm not sure if I'm using them right. Do you have any tips?"
I don't know what is an angel card. We have angel cards, but what is an angel card? Because I have to tell you that there are so many people out there producing them because they make money, don't they? And they tell you different things. It's a little bit like tarot. It's a little bit like runes. If you don't know what you're doing with them, just be really careful. Because taking any advice from any, not just cards or the Ouija board or anything else you might be tempted to use, but even people, if you don't know that person is real, or if you don't understand what you're doing, don't do it. Find a good teacher, darling, who can teach you, because I'm a bit lost, because your angel cards might be very different than what I might know of them. So my advice is enjoy them. I'm sure there are some amazing wisdom. I'm sure there's some amazing wisdom in the cards. I'd have to see them or know who wrote them or whose they were or how they were produced. But do be careful, because there's a lot of things out there that tempt people, and we all want to get into this subject, don't we? We all want to learn more about it. But do please remember, everybody, that there are people out there who are just doing it to make money. Oh, this will be a good money maker. Let's make some of those and sell those, and let's make it out that we know what we're doing. So do be careful. when you're using these things. That's my advice. Chris.
Loretta says, do these people who have passed away feel our love still?
Of course. Oh, yes. Loretta, of course they do. And if we're lucky enough to see them or to sense them, then we feel their love also. I mean, I do have to say that the one overwhelming feeling I get, I said earlier on, I don't, when I'm talking to people, giving consultations for people, I don't say, "Oh, yes, I feel this," or "I'm sensing that." I'm either going to have a conversation with someone in the spirit world, or I'm not. I'm either going to say, "Oh, he's telling me this," or "She's telling me that," or I'm not going to do it. But the overwhelming feelings that come from those in the spirit world when they're trying to communicate and when they are sort of, uh, giving their help and advice, that overwhelming feeling is a feeling of just such immense and incredible love from them to all of us. Chris.
1 second, the jets are flying over.
Oh.
Mary says, you're back. Yay. Please send some healing prayers. All 3 of my children are sick. Any
Oh.
advice for any of them?
Well, we'll send them healing. That's what we'll do. If you could just let us have their names. First names are fine. If you would like to put down the issue that they're suffering with, that might be helpful. You don't just give us whatever information you want to give us. And we'll certainly put them in our healing book. But, you too can give them healing, my darling. So just remember, every one of us has the gift to heal. And if you're uncertain about what that means, you can go to my YouTube channel. I don't know if we have able to put the link up, Chris, but you can go to the YouTube channel or go to my website, rosemaryaltea.com. And there are links there to different things that we've done. And there we have our hands around the world, healing hands around the world. And there are lots and lots of videos of me explaining to people, showing people how to give healing, how to receive healing. But if you would like to give healing to your children, find one of those video clips that we've done, and you can learn a lot to help them. Chris.
All right, I just put up the YouTube link.
Thank you.
Cheryl wants to know, do we create our own environment on the other side, our own idea of the perfect home, etc.?
I think that what happens is that we get such help and advice and such good counseling. So it's not that we're out there making our own decisions and forging our own way. There are so many things for us to experience and so many things for us to do and so many things that we recognize also. Remember, we've been there before. We know once we get there, we know, okay, this is perhaps what I need to do. But there are so many people, our angels, our loved ones in the spirit world who went before us. There's so many people there who can help and guide us on our continuing path.
Shamanth wants to know, how long does a departed person stay in the spirit world before reincarnating?
Well, it depends. And oh gosh, this question of reincarnation rears its head again. So, all right. So, I do believe that some of us do choose to come back here and do this all over again. When I say come back here, they choose to come back to this world of ours and to do this all over again. But there are many, many, many who do not choose to come back here. So you would say that they choose not to be reincarnated. They choose, here's the deal. We as human beings, we have a tiny, 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 narrow view of the universe. So narrow that we don't realize that, we sort of, and I think it's sort of, if we knew the extent of the universe and we knew the possibilities of the universe, I think that, we'd be perhaps too overwhelmed by it. It would be like sending a 5-year-old to university. They'd be so overwhelmed by the information, they're not ready for it. And I think as humans living on this earth of ours, we're not quite ready for that vast expanse of knowledge that there is out there, and that the vast possibilities that there are out there. We do not have to come back necessarily to this earth of ours. There are other opportunities for us. And I think that the more we know about the universe, the more we're able to see. We know that not only that we already know now, so Science tells us, forget mediumship, forget the spiritual people who've been talking about this since time began. Science tells us, let's believe science, why don't we? Science tells us that we're not in just this one universe, that the possibility of the many universes that are out there exist. So what makes us think that, we sort of, I call it the yo-yo syndrome. We live here on this earth plane. Off we go, we come back, off we go. Call it the yo-yo syndrome, bobbing up and down. I think there's a bit more to it than that. I think there's a bit more to life than that, and I think there are more choices than that. So, and the choice, how long does it take before we have to make a choice? As long as it takes. And if we don't want to make a choice right now, we don't have to. So we take our time and we do it when we're ready. And each person is ready at a different point in their lives. Some people are slower learners than others. Some people absorb things. Some people are more afraid of sort of exploring than others. So it depends on the individual. And anybody who sits there and says to you always, you 2 years for this and a year for that, and it, and people also who say, oh, our loved ones they can't come back for at least a year to talk to us. Nonsense. It depends on the person. Every individual is different. I've spoken to people in the spirit world who have passed maybe even seconds after they've passed. I've spoken to people minutes after. Chris, how long was it before we spoke with Mike, who is here, by the way, and blowing you kisses?
Just long enough for me to get back from the hospital to my son's house, and then we had a conversation.
We did. So it's only, an hour or something, 2 maybe.
Yeah.
So every person, it depends on the person. So, I think that's answered that one. Chris.
Tracy's asking, do spirit take things from this world to the next? I always have things in the home that go missing, never to be seen again.
Well, it's like socks, isn't it? How many of us lose socks? You put 2 in the washing machine and 1 comes out. You don't know where they've gone to. I think the washing machine must eat them up. I've never known anyone in the spirit world take anything physically from here to there. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen just because I didn't hear of it. I know that there are many people who think that I'm so all-knowing and all-seeing that I must know everything, but I don't. So that's one of those things that I've never actually experienced. I do know, though, that the spirit world can deliver things to us. Those things are called apports. It might be a flower, it might be a feather at our feet. They might drop a penny just where we find one. We get apports, gifts from the spirit world. An apport is a gift from the spirit world. And we get those things all the time. So it might just be possible. You've given me food for thought. Chris.
Joanna is saying, I have a question about ancestors, like from thousands of years ago.
Okay.
Do they still help us as well? And I love your work, by the way. I've been reading your books since the 90s.
Oh, darling, thank you so much. Well, it depends. Are we talking thousands of years? Are we talking time in our world, time as it is in our world, or time as it is in the spirit world? I think you're referring to time as it is in our world, and I would hope, and maybe it's not so, but I would hope that somebody who's been over for that long, someone who's passed in the spirit world for that long, has evolved, has become more, or is doing more. And who has sort of moved forward and has become something fabulous and wonderful. Do they still help us? Well, I'm not sure that they would even know who we are, would they, if it's thousands of years ago? That's one I have to ponder with Grey Eagle. But I would hope that anyone who's been over for more than a couple of 100 years is evolved. Hopefully, you would think, wouldn't you? Chris.
Lori's asking, can you see any prospects of full-time work coming to me in the near future? I was laid off over a year ago. Thank you.
Well, Laurie, right now, I don't see anything, and I'm not even going to go to that space. And I did say you may have not come in early enough, darling, but I did say that I am not 100% myself. So rather than just make stabs in the dark, I'm not going to do it. So as as much as I do appreciate why you want the answer to the question, it's not going to happen today. Chris.
Shamantha's asking, is the spirit world the same as the astral world? If no, how are they different?
Well, the answer is yes. There you have it. I think that's about it.
Let's see, this is from Rhonda. My niece, who is 11, but is much wiser beyond her years, her grandmother on her mom's side is a Cherokee healer. My niece wants to be an animal healer. Are there any books you could recommend for her to understand her gift and help her on her path?
I'm trying to think here. I think that what she's wanting to do sounds wonderful. I am told by Grey Eagle that she definitely has the gift. She needs to learn to take it slowly and not try to race along and do more than she's ready for. So be careful not to rush her. Be careful, tell her to be careful not to rush this. Are there any books? I don't know of any books on animal healing. Edgar Casey, gosh, wasn't he an amazing person? Edgar Casey is definitely one of those that she could read. I'm trying to think, if anybody can help me out here, there's a foundation in England. The name escapes me. I've told you I'm not 100% here. Oh gosh, I can see his face and I can see the book, but there's a wonderful healer. He's long since passed, but he wrote some amazing books about healing also. If anybody's listening from England and who can help me figure out who that is, because as soon as I hear the name, I'll know it absolutely. But tell your daughter, do be careful when she's reading these things. Remember that these are other people's experiences. Like when people read my books, they are my experiences. Every person has their own experiences, and every person experiences things differently than somebody else. So although she can read these books, I would prefer that she didn't mimic what she thinks other people do. As she gets older and more in tune with who she is and what she is, then she'll find her own way of things. I'm also going to suggest, if she'd like to, because I've already mentioned this once today, we have many videos of my helping people, showing people how to use energy, how to develop their own energy, because all good healers must learn first and foremost to give healing to themselves. So that's I would start there. And these videos that I've done, you can find them on YouTube. You can find them, I think the videos are labeled under, there's so many different things we do, they're labeled under Healing Hands Around the World. If you go to those videos on YouTube and go to my YouTube channel, you'll find those videos on my channel. And I talk about energy, and I talk about how we can develop energy, expand energy, how we can bring it into us, how using breathing and certain breathing exercises can help us with that. So I'm going to suggest, if I were your daughter's teacher, if she happened to be, if I were lucky enough to have her as my student, the first thing I would teach her is to give to herself first, as all good healers must learn to do. Because if you are depleted in your energy, if you are less in your energy, and this is why I'm not giving messages today to anybody, because I've said, again, I'm not 100%. But if you are depleted in your own energy, the worst thing you can do is to just keep giving energy out to other people and not replenishing for yourself. So you must be healthy and replenished and energize your own self in a good way and in a positive way before you can give out. And animals will sense, they will absolutely know if you're not 100%. They will know. And sometimes I think, and it's very tempting to do this, and I've been tempted to do this, and may even have done it from time to time. We think we're giving our animals healing, but what we're doing is we're taking their energy from them because we want their comfort and we want their healing. So be careful with that, because we don't want to deplete that little puppy's energy, do we? We don't want to have that little pussycat sort of, depleted and wondering what's happening, where's all his energy gone. So you've got to make sure, first and foremost, your energy is fed. Chris.
Lucy's asking, when a loved one is just about to pass, are here several passed on family members present, or just one angel to take them?
Well, again, darling, it depends on the person. I've often heard people in the spirit world say, to someone who we've been communicating with, or tell them when it's their time, I'll be right there with them. I had a patient very, very recently who came to Florida to see me, and she, her diagnosis was very poor. She knew that she'd only got a few months left, perhaps, to live. And one of the things that she wanted to know was who's going to come for me. And we were able to connect with her loved ones in the spirit world, and we were able to tell her exactly who was coming for her. Having said that, our loved ones are very often there. They're the ones who, they reach out their hands, you grab hold of them, they yank you over there, and that's the end of that. However, our angels are always also present. Chris.
Okay. Michael wants to know,
Hi, Michael.
what would you say to someone who has a desire to finish their college education but feels like they are too old?
Michael, I would say, if that's what you feel that you would like to do, you need to, I just had this same conversation with somebody just yesterday. I heard something, pretty neat the other day. What was it now? Oh, that's right. Your worst enemy is what is between your ears, or your worst enemy can be what is between your ears. And if you have between your ears that little voice saying, you're no good, you're too old, you can't do it, so, then don't bother. But if you're able to talk back to that enemy between your ears and say, well, I want to do it and I'm going to do it and I'm not going to fail, I'm going to do well, then listen to your own self, listen to your heart. Michael, I would say, I don't think age matters in this circumstance. It is your confidence, your ability to trust yourself. I think that is what people need more than anything else. So don't let what's between your ears be your worst enemy. Let it be your friend, and let it encourage you. We're talking about the mind here, aren't we? Let it encourage you to do whatever it is you choose to do. People get hit by a bus, people step off the curb, gone. People fall out of aeroplanes, gone. People get really sick, gone. People have massive heart attacks, gone. I mean, how many people in the spirit world do you think there are, Michael, who are saying, if only, or I should never, what is age? Because, I'm too old, but then I'm gone. Life is for living. That's what you should be having between your ears there. Life is for living. Get on with it and do it. Make life the best you can possibly make it. You're not too old for anything. Nobody is too old for anything. My daughter said to me the other day, I would like you to have a boyfriend, Mum. And you don't tell me you're too old, because that's always what I say to her. I'm too old for that. She's don't tell me you're too old. Even if it's just somebody you can go out dancing with or go out for dinner with, or and she's right. And what we often do is we allow the enemy between our ears to convince us that it's not going to happen, or it shouldn't happen, or I can't do it, or well, what? Oh gosh, no, 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 no. Don't let the enemy between your ears stop you. I hope that helps you, Michael. Get on with it. Just do it. Go for it.
Mark says, peace to all. I've been struck down again with the horrible C. diff and just needing to hear from my heavenly guides. I ask if G and my spirit guide or family can give me some solemn guidance.
We'll give
Yes,
you
my
some.
chin is up and my smile remains. It's just very difficult, and being quarantined is not fun. Love you all dearly.
We are going to send you so much healing, Mark. I'm asking everybody who's watching this morning. Mark needs healing. Why don't we just give him a massive zapping? We're going to give you a massive zapping of healing, Mark, to see if we can get you back on your feet, my darling. Chris.
Adrian's responding to her earlier question about the angel oracle cards. The person who wrote them is Radley Valentine.
Never heard of him. Don't know him. Never heard of him. So just be careful. Just be very careful when you're delving into this subject. They might be fantastic. They might be wonderful. I don't know. Never heard of him. And so just because I've said I've never heard of him, I'm not condemning the cards. I'm not condemning him. I'm not saying anything against him, but nor am I saying anything for him, because I don't know him, darling. So you've got to go with your instincts here. You've got to go with your own instincts. And just be careful when you listen to people, because, you know, so often people say fabulously wise things, but it's only something that they read about. It's not something they've necessarily experienced. Chris.
Betta says, good morning. How
Good
do you
morning, Becca.
perceive a guardian angel? I bought a ring in the shape of an angel's feather, and I had blessed it. Can it be useful as a protection? I am always keeping it on my finger.
Well, it's not the ring, it is the symbol, and it's the symbolization. And if the ring reminds you of your energy, then that is the most important thing. Our power symbols or our power animals, they are not our power. They don't give us power. They remind us of the power that we have within us better. So every time you wear the ring and you look at the ring, it reminds you of the power that you have. And that's why it is so amazing, and you get so much from it. So you're absolutely right. I have a feather pin that I like to wear. It is a reminder of my power symbol. Yes, one day we're going to be doing a webinar on power symbols and power animals. Why don't we do that, Chris? That would be a fun thing to do.
We do have it written down.
Bet you do. And just a little reminder, everybody, we are is it next week, Chris? Next Saturday?
July 24th, yeah.
So next Saturday, July 24th, we are having a webinar. We shall not be having a story time. Not this coming Saturday, Saturday after. I was thinking for a minute it was Saturday. On the 24th, there are still some tickets left. We are having a webinar. I should be giving messages from the spirit world. And oh gosh, we're going to be having so much fun. It's a 3-hour webinar. Please go to our website, rosemaryaltea.com. You'll see how to purchase tickets. You'll see how to get involved there. And you'll see all the so many and numerous different things that we are doing. I'm going to sneeze in a minute. Excuse me. Sorry,
God
Chris.
bless you.
Go for it, Chris.
Vera is saying, hi, Rosemary. I have found 2 white feathers. No, I have found a white feather 2 times. Does it mean something?
Yes, it reminds you. Just I've said to you, just what I've said. It's absolutely fabulous. I use the feather is my power symbol given to me by Grey Eagle, but we all of us have different power symbols, and we all of us have different power animals. My animal, not really an animal, but a bird. My animal is an eagle. Does that surprise anybody? No, of course not. But my power symbol is a feather, and it doesn't give us power. And this is what I think that people think, if I hold on to this really tight, it's going to give us power. No, it isn't going to give you power. It is simply a reminder of the power that you were born with, the power that you have within you, the power of your own spirit. But there's nothing wrong with being reminded. And if you found that white feather twice, wow, good for you. You need a reminder. You obviously needed a reminder that you were powerful. So make sure that you don't forget. Chris.
Moxie Life says, I hear a lot of chatter about the third dimension and the fifth dimension,
Oh, I
and
know.
I'm not quite understanding. Can
Good.
you explain possibly?
No, I can't. No idea. I've no idea. Means nothing to me. The third dimension, the seventh dimension, the different levels, and all of that means nothing to me. Remember that, remember who you listen to. You remember what you pay attention to. For some people, it's very real and it makes a huge, difference to them. They feel comfortable because, they have a structure. Is that a real structure? Is that really how the universe works? Or is that just a structure that they have decided makes them feel more comfortable? I do not see the universe and the many universes out there structured in that way, because I think it's so much more than that. But we in our humanness, and many people in their humanness, their human, wanting to understand, give this, they give it a structure by saying, oh yeah, there are different levels in the universe. Well, I've yet to encounter them. I've yet to come across any barriers. I've yet to come across any, sort of levels that we have to climb or that we have to strive to. So I would love to help you out, but if you want to know more about that and you want to buy into that and that makes sense to you and you want that structure in your life, unfortunately, I'm not your person, because I'm not. I know nothing about it. I'm certainly not an expert in it. I don't do levels, and I don't do realms, and I don't do any of that stuff. I just, I'm just me connecting with the universe and the many universes that are out there, as we all can, once we know how to do it. Chris.
Lucia is sending you a great big hug from Venice, Italy.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Lucy, I just felt it round me. Did you see my sort of shoulders shrugging then? Thank you so much, my darling. I really appreciate that.
Peggy saying, it's my dad, Bruce's birthday today. He passed on December 17th, 2009, and I miss him. He called himself Crazy Brucey. She just wanted to let you know.
Well, I bet crazy Bruce is right by your side, Peggy, even as we're speaking. Oh, I like that. He obviously had a great sense of humor. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Tamiko says, growing up, I had an imaginary friend named Tracy. Was she a guardian angel or a spirit? It was in a century home.
I don't know what a century home is. What is a century home? Do you
I
know,
have a
Chris?
feeling it means the home was over 100 years old.
Oh, um, well, a lot of children have what we would call imaginary friends, people in the spirit world, children in the spirit world who sort of come and take a liking to you. And that doesn't mean they're necessarily from an old home. It could be somebody from your past, it could be somebody in your family, and it more often is somebody in your family. It might have been a child who passed even a generation or two before. Um, I don't think it matters quite who they are, but what matters is that we do have a relationship with them, and that's, while it lasts, that's an absolute and a wonderful thing. And I think that having imaginary, let's say, not so imaginary friends, having those children in the spirit world, as when we're children, coming to us and helping us and guiding us and seeing and helping us to see our way through things, for them to be by our side and to want to communicate with us. And of course, as children, we see them more clearly, we hear them more clearly. As we get older, we tend to block those things out. But I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Chris.
Loretta's asking, when someone who is here has dementia / Alzheimer's, do they go into the spirit world that way when they die? In other words, do they have all that confusion after death also?
No, and didn't we have a question similar to this recently, Chris? Okay. When people have dementia, and there is initially, I think, with dementia, there is a lot of confusion, but eventually dementia is such that there is no confusion with the person at all, because they move beyond, they move past, let's say, their humanness. Let's say that they no longer have that enemy between their ears. They have moved on at a more spiritual level and are in a more spiritual place. Very often I've been asked to talk to people who have dementia. I had a sort of a type of a kind of a father-in-law, not quite a father-in-law, but kind of a father-in-law who had dementia. But every time he saw me, he would talk to me with his eyes. He wasn't a bit confused. It's amazing, because when you're talking soul to soul, there's a whole different thing. I know that many people who have loved ones with dementia do worry about this subject. So I'm here to tell you, please don't worry about it, because just because they are not of this world anymore, or they seem to have moved further and further away from this world, seeming more and more confused by their environment, what they're doing is they're moving more and more into that spiritual realm where there is no confusion at all. Chris?
Let's see. Peggy says, someone recently told me that she had Reiki, and the person told her she had negative entities stuck on her.
Oh, I hate
Is this possible?
that. Oh, this is one of these things that really drives me to distraction. Yes, it is possible for people to have negative energy and negative entities around them. Very often, if that person is a negative person, like attracts like, and you draw negativity to you. But first of all, I would say that if I knew who that Reiki person was and they were within my hearing, I would slap them down so badly, so hard, because what happened there is absolutely disgraceful. It is, what is it? It is so irresponsible, and it can put the fear of God into anybody. And so whoever it is who is the Reiki person giving the healing is not a healer whatsoever, is just somebody wanting to sound good. And let me tell you, it doesn't sound good. So if you could send us the name of that person who has been told this, and if you could tell them, no, 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 there's no need for that negativity. We're not going to have negative entities around you. If you could just send us her name, we'll be sending healing to her, and we'll be getting rid of any negativity that she has around her. You mustn't worry about it whatsoever. But it drives me crazy, because things like that are said, number one, are unprofessional, number two, are so irresponsible, number three, are downright damaging and harmful. And no healer, whether they are a Reiki person, whether they are simply a spiritual healer, or whoever it is, it doesn't matter who it is, no real healer would ever say that to anybody. So my advice to your friend Peggy is to turn her back on this person who gave her healing. But first and foremost, I would go and give her a piece of my mind and tell her what you did is absolutely irresponsible, and you should never ever practice what you're doing ever again. If she were my student, she wouldn't be my student, right, Chris?
Gone.
Gone. Gone.
Danny's
Okay.
wondering, do we transcend to other dimensions and places in our dreams?
Who is this who's wondering this?
Danny.
Danny. I'm not an expert in dreams. Gosh, how many times do I have to say this? I'm not an expert in dreams, but it is possible for us to travel in our sleep state. And what we perceive as a dream is often a reality. It is also possible for our loved ones in the spirit world, when we are in our sleep state, to come and visit with us. So on that score, I think I can understand why you're sort of thinking different dimensions, different levels, and so on, because as we go into that sleep state, that is when our spirit can leave our body, and that is when most of us travel. And we can go to all kinds of different places in the universe, but mostly our loved ones in the spirit world can come to us, and we can join together with them. And when we wake up, it's that, oh, I had this dream, but it was so real. But it was only a dream, but it was so real. When you keep saying that, it's a real experience. Yes. I don't know if I answered your question or not, but I think I did. Chris.
Julie is responding to your earlier comment about a animal healer in England. She's
Yes.
wondering if you meant Harry Edwards.
I did. Julie, thank you. Yes. I did, of course. Why? And my maiden name was Edwards. I mean, how could I possibly have forgotten it? But anyway, yes, Harry Edwards, and he wrote some brilliant books, some fantastic books, and he and his wife started a foundation, which was, when I say he and his wife, not sure whether if his wife is involved now, but anyway, he started a foundation, the Harry Edwards Foundation, but it has been taken over by other people. So those other people I know nothing about, but Harry Edwards, an amazing, amazing healer. So 2 books, well, actually more than 2 books, but because Edgar Cayce wrote many books, and the Edgar Cayce Foundation is somewhere in
Virginia.
South Virginia, is it? And you can go visit it or check it out. Remember, Edgar Cayce is not there anymore, and the people who are talking to you are not Edgar Cayce. I've been there as a guest. I've spoken to the Edgar Cayce Foundation. That doesn't mean that everybody who speaks there is great. Just be wary, everybody. That's all. Just apply common sense. Chris.
Vera says, I lost my cat. He's not coming back now for 14 days. That is not normal for him. I think he could be dead. Perhaps it has something to do with the feather message from him or an angel.
Well, yes, it might well be. It might be the feather messages might saying to you, just hold out hope. But unfortunately, I can't do that for you today. I'm not going to even go. I'm so tempted to go there, but I'm not even tempted to go there today, because I have to pay attention to how much energy I'm giving out to everybody today. But please let us know what happens and if you find your little kitty again. Chris.
Rhonda said, thank you for your wonderful advice. I had my niece over for the night. She laid down in the grass and told me she was drawing on the energy of the universe. She's an amazing little girl.
Oh, oh golly, she sounds wonderful. Oh, wouldn't I like to meet that little one? She sounds fantastic. Keep going, Chris. I know we're coming.
Yeah, we are coming right up to it.
But
Tamiko's asking, how can you tell if someone is a guardian angel or a ghost/spirit?
I think that's a question for another day, Chris.
All right. Lucy's saying, right after you answered my question and you were answering Michael's question, you happened to pass along the message of our worst enemy is the one between our ears. That was my dad's biggest advice he always gave. I knew he would show up as I was feeling him. I love those spirit world winks.
Don't we love that? Don't we love that when that happens? Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. That's lovely. Yes. Well, it is true, isn't it? Our worst enemy can be that which is between our ears. In other words, we are our own worst enemy. We allow those negative thoughts to eat away at us when we know absolutely that we shouldn't, but we're human, so it happens. So I think, Chris, I'm going to call this to a close today. I know it's 12 o'clock, so I'm going to I'm actually done for now, for the day. So I would just like to say thank you to everybody for being patient with me. I would like to say thank you to all of you for joining in this morning. I would especially like to say thank you to Great Eagle. I would like to say thank you, Chris, to you too. We will be back this coming Saturday with our story time, and hopefully in the next couple of days we'll do a couple of off the cuffs as well. So we'll try our very best to be around you all and to let you know, and to let you know when and what it is that we're up to. But definitely we'll be doing story time on Saturday, as definite as I can be right now. So thank you all. Thank you again, Chris. Please, all of you, just, you know, life is short. Smiles cost nothing. Use far less strain on your face, far less chance of you know, lines and wrinkles if you smile than if you frown. So please, everybody, have a wonderful and a very blessed and a very smiley day today. Please remember, energy is what you make it, and you can make it as positive or as negative as you can. I'm going to have a very positive day today. I hope you all do too. Thank you so much again, all of you, for joining us this morning. Bye bye.